Call to order the regular meeting of Stokes County Commissioners. If we all stand, and Wayne will lead us in prayer.
Let's pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today in the name of Jesus. We thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for another day of life. Lord, we appreciate everything you've done for us. Go with us tonight, Lord, as we conduct business. Be blessed to you and to our citizens. And as always, Lord, please bless our military personnel where they may be at tonight. Put your hands on them. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get approval of the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we have no open public comments. So we go to commissioners' comments. So Brad, you're up.
All right. Thank you everybody for tuning in on streaming and YouTube, and also for y'all that are here in person. Appreciate you taking the time and being involved with local government. I think it's very important. The only other thing I just want to kind of talk about, I received an email this morning from our YVETI director, Kathy Payne, and apparently it's not just YVETI, but it's statewide, that they're having a hard time collecting what the state is supposed to provide for the weatherization reimbursements, which is up to, right now, they owe YVETI over $470,000 from July until through November. And just so you know, this is for low-income families, seniors, and also individuals with disabilities. So I'd like to ask our county manager and assistant county manager if y'all would kind of look into that. She did send me a pre-printed form, because it's going out statewide to all the county commissioners in order to sign that, to find out what's going on at the state. But I think this is probably the wrong time of the year, not being reimbursed to help the people with the cold weather that's coming in. But if you do that, I'd appreciate it. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks. Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome everybody that's participating in our meeting tonight. It's great to have your participation and feedback and advice as we do business for the county. I want to just touch on the hospital for a minute. I think all the commissioners are getting calls occasionally about the status of the hospital transition. Just want to assure everybody that that process is still underway as required by the general statutes. It's a long and complex process, but it is still underway. We can't validate rumors that get out or whatever. The commissioners can't, so because we're under a non-disclosure agreement about talking publicly until the process is over, and then when it's over, we'll be telling everybody what's going on. So just want to make sure everybody realizes it's still in process. Last thing, I've switched over to a government email for county business. It's rmorris@co.stokes.nc.us. So if you want to contact me on business stuff related to the county government, use that one if you would. But I still have the Banjo email, the one that starts with Banjo, for personal use, and I'll be reading both of them. So anyway, just want to let everybody know that. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome, Wayne.
Yes, sir. Great to see everybody tonight. Everybody watching live stream. It's great to be back. And I've got a lot of catching up to do, so everybody please bear with me. I'll get there sooner or later. And as Commissioner Barr said, I've been asked about the hospital, and I said, I can't answer any questions whatsoever, and I'm not going to. I won't answer no question about anything unless I got true information about it. But like Commissioner Barr said, we're not able to talk about that, so I hope everybody understands that that's watching, and we'll be back sooner or later with the information everybody needs to hear. Thank y'all.
Sonia?
Yep. Thank everybody for being here and for the ones watching online. I don't really have much. I think we've got the parades behind us and the Christmas tree lightings behind us, and I guess now it's just shopping and getting ready for Santa Claus. So, Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you.
Dress for it.
I know.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of.
Amber, you have anything?
Just welcome. Glad to be here.
Jeff?
Thank you. I don't have anything to comment on.
I'd like to welcome everybody to, I think everybody's covered everything, so let's get on with the meeting.
All right.
Conflict of interest, before we move further, does any board member have a conflict of interest of any of the items on the agenda tonight, or one that might be perceived as a conflict of interest?
No.
So consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Vote. All in favor?
Aye.
So we move on to information agenda. Are you up?
Yes, I will be.
Good evening. All right, so in your agenda packet, you guys received the first quarter financial statement ending in September the 30th of 2024. As I stated in the memo, the county started off strong for the 24-25 fiscal year, with revenues being slightly higher than projected for the first quarter and our expenses being a little less than anticipated. I've also stated in the memo that we had our investment income exceeded the quarterly budget by $167,000. And that's mostly because we have our larger projects like the courthouse, the hospital. Funding is in the capital investments, and anything that we roll over from the ad valorem is also in there. I also stated that we were getting closer to starting our go live with our finance program, and we're super excited about that because it's a whole lot. It's actually user friendly. We'll be able to download into Excel and produce things that we haven't been able to do so with gyms. Do you guys have any questions on what I sent you or what was in your packet agenda?
Comments, but not questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really like the financial statements that were in the package. They're traditional financial statements, which everybody's used to looking at. I was talking to Jeff earlier today. If you guys do that quarterly and, do some analysis on the variances and whatever else that you want to cover, that's all I need. That's all I need to see financially. So we were also talking about, I was telling Jeff, it'd be kind of interesting to compare our balance sheet to other counties similar in size or population to us, that their balance sheets, just to see what they look like. And then it'll be interesting to compare our balance sheets from one year to the next. So that'll be, I'm sure we'll get into some good discussions on that during the budget process, but I just was perfect. I really liked it. One question I did have, I think, when I read through it was, you talked about in there what the return on investments were for that quarter. Was the money that's in there for the hospital, that 10 million or just under 10 million, was that rolled into that number of what the
That is, it is. That money is in there as well. Yeah, and the balance sheet, I actually mimicked our audit balance sheet.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when we get that soon, I hope, it's going to mimic it.
Yeah.
Because, our general fund has different funds rolled up into it. So I actually mimicked everything that you'll know. So when you look at it, it's exactly what you're going to look at every third quarter.
Good. That's great. That really takes care of doing a quarterly financial review to see what you guys sent us and along with the whatever analysis you decide to put on it. So, well done.
Just got a quick comment.
Okay.
That's it's a very good report. It's kind of refreshing, and I look forward to y'all going live with the new system as well. I think that'll take a little requests off y'all too there in the office. The only thing that to tie up the revenue stream is, also I think we need to make sure that we're keeping track and already starting to look ahead into the upcoming budget cycle with our recurring expenses, and especially the recurring expenses with payroll, with the human cost of moving forward. So I like seeing that we're a little bit ahead on the revenue, but if we're not still doing enough on the revenue to pay the bills, then the sooner we know that, then I think that the more discussion then would have to happen at our budget time. That's all I have.
Any more comments?
Well, like I said, it's great to see us start out strong. It really is. And I'm sure I'll have some more questions about some of these numbers. I've done reached out to Amber about a couple of things, and she explained it very well. So just trying to get back in the swing of things here. So thank you.
It's a good report, and thank you for putting it together like this so it's easy to understand, and it's good. Y'all are doing good. Keep up the
Did
good
not,
work.
in the report did not mention, but I did have our unassigned fund balance as of 9/30 is around 34%. But of course, like Jeff mentioned in our last meeting a couple weeks ago, right now that's going to go back and forth with the huge amount that we collected, obviously in August and September. And then we'll have another big bump in the end of December and the 1st of January. We collect taxes as well. If I may, I can't take all the credit. I have a young lady, Michelle and Lisa. We work together to make this happen. So I have to give them thanks for that as well.
Good job. Thank you.
And thank them.
Yep.
All right, that brings us to our discussion agenda. And are you taking over, Eric? Or do you want? Okay, I'll let you run the show.
Okay. All right. So item A on our planning agenda for tonight is a rezoning request. The request is by applicant Gregory Southern to rezone approximately 1.5 plus or minus acres from residential agricultural to residential agricultural conditional zoning located at 3079 North Carolina 8 Highway South, listed as Stokes County parcel 6945-73-8468. This request is to build a 30 by 40 metal building for a dog kennel. The applicant again is Gregory Southern. The site location is next to Autumn Square, of course at 3079, listed as Stokes County parcel 6945-73-8468. The total parcel size is 33.36 plus or minus acres. To be rezoned would be 1.5 of these acres. The surrounding land use consists of residential and agricultural development with some commercial issues to consider. This proposal is in line with the Stokes County Business Friendly Initiative and potential tax base increase due to the expansion of commercial property. This rezoning from RA Residential Agricultural to RACZ, which is Residential Agricultural Conditional Zoning, for the construction of a building of a dog kennel. I see no problem with this request in that the expansion of a building for commercial dog kennel is in line with the long-range plan because it supports the business-friendly objective as stated in the Stokes County 2035 Comprehensive Plan, and that this proposal provides potential tax base increase due to expansion of commercial property and is reasonable in the public interest. The applicant has completed all the requirements of conditional rezoning as required by Stokes County ordinance. The public information meeting for this request was held on October 18th, 2024 at 2 p.m. at the Walnut Cove Public Library, and my understanding is no one attended. So they had no one was against the petition. I've had no calls concerning any concern about this proposal. And therefore, planning does support. At this time, if it would please the board, I would have one of the petitioners come forward and
Sure.
make their case.
Good evening.
Hey.
My name's Kyle Southern. My wife and I hope to open a small business, dog boarding kennels. Approximately 10 kennels, 4 foot by 6 foot indoors, climate controlled. We will offer dog boarding overnight for families in the community needing dog care. We will have all environmental precautions in place, such as dual line septic systems to include a filter for dog care, using only environmentally responsible cleaning products such as seal green and kennel salt, a trench drain to properly and quickly drain waste. 30 by 40 metal building with a 40 foot by 70 foot fenced in play area with turf for cleanliness and durability. Me and my wife also live on the property. It's probably close to 80 acres, and there's not any neighbors within a quarter mile of us. We will be licensed through the state and also insured. Thank you.
All right, since this is the first time we've done a combined, what's the procedure now? Do we move it to action or?
Greg Southern also signed up to speak.
Okay, that's right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cheat you.
I'm Greg Southern. I own the property that the dog kennel is going on, and like I said, it's approximately, one track is 34 acres. Also on an adjoining parcel of 9 acres and another of about 20 acres. So there's lots of buffer and barrier between the proposed site for the kennel and any neighbors. I don't foresee any problems as far as noise or any disturbance. And in fact, my wife and I, in the next year or two, hopefully plan to build a home there within probably 100 yards. And at our stage of life, we value quiet and peace. So we have no concerns with that disturbing us. I'd just like to emphasize that I know the board is pro-business, and especially I would hope pro-small business, and especially pro-small female entrepreneurship, because Megan is going to be the day-by-day CEO, run the kennel and so forth. And I know that she'll do a great job with it. And I hope that you folks will vote to approve this rezoning request. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask if the board would move this to the action agenda so we can decide on this tonight.
Move it to action tonight.
Second.
Okay. I have a question or two. You got any questions before you vote? Okay.
First, or comment and a question. First of all, I'm glad you guys are doing this. It's really needed in the community, this kind of service for everybody just about. So it's a great idea. My only question is the closest house to this the one that Janet Joyce and Billy Joe lived in? Okay, but it's how far away is it, would you guess?
Quarter mile nearly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Several hundred yards.
Yeah, okay, good. That was my only question. I remember when the other building was going up, I was trying to see it from the road, but I'm all for it.
Now, you know, it's just like opening up a daycare, correct? Not a dog kennel. People now look at them dogs as kids.
One of the things I didn't know if I'd mentioned that this was approved unanimously by the planning board.
I think it's a very needed business. I think you'll do well with it because I know my daughter recently was looking for a place kind of last minute for her dog for just 1 or 2 nights, and she had trouble finding somewhere locally to do that. So very, very good to have y'all to have this plan to do it. I think it'll do well.
Don't discriminate against my cat.
If you can board cats, you will be doing something.
We need to vote on this now.
Yeah, so we've got a motion and a second to move it to action. We just need a vote.
All in favor of moving this to action?
Aye.
Thank you.
You still got the floor.
Okay, so the next item up for business here is the commercial solar farm ordinance. Jennifer sent me the revision that they felt like would be appropriate today, so I've been reviewing that. My references for the commercial solar farm ordinance was from a place that I'm very familiar with, which is the city of Sanford and Lee County, as well as the UNC School of Government Planning and Zoning Law Bulletin, number 33, Chapter 6. And then, of course, North Carolina General Statute 130A-309.240. And I'm sure Amber has actually copies of that. She may have already distributed those.
Yeah.
But
I'm passing them out now, so that's what they're getting.
okay, good deal.
Yeah, so they know
Good deal.
what they're getting.
So basically, what I wanted to do is have something in place because I know we're going to have a lot of people ask about solar farms, that type of thing. And what I wanted was to have something in place to not only, make sure and ensure the beauty and surrounding beauty of Stokes County, but also to protect property owners, people that would be leasing land for this type of project, and also to have some guidelines in place to where there's no question as to what needs to happen whenever someone presents a proposal like this. And I basically wanted us to be able to have our act together so that we could have something chiseled in stone here. After reviewing the revisions that Jennifer had sent over, I don't believe there was a lot of changes, Jennifer. Maybe just a few subtle changes. Did you have anything specific that you...
So the main things that I changed were just some formatting, which is to say that we used a lot of the language that Eric had already pulled. I also looked up Scotland County's ordinance. They had done this pretty recently, and I felt like that was probably a fairly similar size as well. So what I did in the revisions was put some article numbers, section numbers, subparagraphs, and I was telling Eric that I think that will make it easier when reviewing these applications. If there's going to be a denial or an approval, he can point to a specific section and say, okay, if you look on page such and such, section 101, just for reference and for enforceability. Additionally, I thought that it would be helpful to categorize things that were laid out in the ordinance as environmental use specific standards, safety use specific standards. So visual impact, there's a visual impact section specifically, and then limitations, which I think is where we can plug in some of what you all may be looking at, setbacks, and then a miscellaneous section for anything else that we can sort of throw in if we need to. And then abandonment and decommissioning, Eric already had a definition in the text of what constituted abandonment would trigger that. So then once we deem that one is abandoned, then you begin the decommissioning plan, which is what the statute really had a lot to do with, was that these companies will have to submit a decommissioning plan at the time that they are either approved or applying. I can't remember. I know I reviewed it.
Yeah, when they're applying.
Yeah, so there's several criteria on that, and then as well as there are some bonding criteria financially. Other than that, if y'all have any questions.
you see the stuff I recommended? She sent that to you?
We discussed it briefly, but we decided to wait until the meeting tonight to.
Okay, good. I'll
from
talk
you.
to that if you want me to, Mr. Chair. You're up. I recommended some additional text to, I liked what Eric had put out to start with. The thing I read before this one that came out tonight looked pretty good to me, the content of it. I have some additional text, and for the benefit of the audience, I'll just read it real quick, that I would like to have added. And this is really just a first draft for the board to look at and modify as you see fit, if you want to add something like this to the ordinance. So I'll read it right quick. It says, to maintain a balanced approach to commercial business activities physically located in Stokes County, North Carolina, the following restriction would be applied to the approval of commercial solar farms located within the physical boundaries of the county. Stokes County consists of approximately 480 square miles or 307,200 square acres within its borders, including the municipalities. The total percentage of Stokes County's land area that will be approved for the installation of commercial solar farms will be 1% of the total land mass of Stokes County, which would equal about 3,072 acres. Included, or it really probably should say not to exceed 1%. Included in this calculation will be any occupied commercial solar farms already located within the municipalities, such as the one currently located in Walnut Cove, North Carolina. This solar farm occupies land located in both the town and the county jurisdictions. The reason for this cap is justified by the desire to ensure that the scenic beauty, the wildlife habitat, the agricultural heritage, and the overall quality of life environment of Stokes County is maintained, while at the same time smart business development and growth decisions are made. That was just my first cut, and I'd be open to any changes you guys want to make. One thing I didn't put in here, which probably doesn't necessarily need to be in there, but I feel like we need to cap how much of this activity we have, because first of all, solar farms don't provide a whole lot of jobs and a whole lot of activity. They just kind of sit there. And there's lots of other things that we, from a business perspective, that we all would also want to be doing with the land in Stokes County. And a lot of them have multiple paybacks, way more than what you would get both financially or for jobs or other measures with a solar farm. So that's sort of the thinking behind the cap as well. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Brad?
I think Commissioner Morse makes some good points on what he's adding. Naturally, we have to make sure that the type of business that comes into Stokes County fits with Stokes County when it comes to the agriculture and then the tourism. The only thing that I want to make sure is I just want to feel real comfortable that we're not in violation of any type of state statute which mandates that we have to do certain types of rezoning requests for that. I'm personally against solar farms. I think too that you really can't get good clear answers too when you ask when the project is done, when the battery life is done, where's that go? And you get hee-haws around, this are the contracts, they take care of it. I'd still like to know where it goes. It's not something you just put in the trash. I just think the technology that is growing so fast that I think the solar panels are basically a fad, and I know I personally wouldn't want to wake up one morning and seeing solar panels across from my place. I just don't think it serves enough purpose. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we do follow statute. So if I would just ask, just do real good research where we don't have to
doing a significant amount of research on the solar farming, because this is something Eric and I have been dealing with for a little while in terms of the moratoriums, and now that the statute has been enacted with the decommissioning plans. So my understanding of the statute and what the state requirements are is that we just have to not discriminate against certain businesses. So allowing a reasonable opportunity for certain businesses, or all businesses really. So I think that an acreage cap would not be an unreasonable restriction. I do have a couple questions about just some clarification on that in a few minutes when everybody's had an opportunity, but I just want to make sure that whatever language we put in here is very well defined, and that when people are making these applications, they understand what's expected. I will say that I do think that in terms of your concern about where the things go, and I understand that. My husband's in environmental health. I don't think, I agree with you, they don't just put it in the dumpster, but the decommissioning plans, I believe, are pretty detailed on how they have to dispose of these things, and what would constitute abandonment would be, I think the way we phrase it is 12 months of no production of solar energy. So if the batteries or whatever, I don't know exactly how it works, but say if batteries ran out and they didn't do anything for 12 months, then that's your decommissioning stage, and they would have that bond in place to ensure that that's done the appropriate way. I did have a question on, as far as the area of the county, Commissioner Morris, is that an exact figure? Because I think it said approximately.
Jeff actually and I had that discussion today. He has a different number than I do, so I think we need to go to whoever the expert is that can tell us exactly how big we are.
If I might jump in.
Fill those numbers in.
After our conversation, I kind of convinced myself that maybe the best way to word that is something along the lines of not to exceed a certain number of acreage, which is approximately 1%.
That would work also.
Okay.
Yes.
That sounds good. I'm open to rewording this any way you guys want to do it to make it better.
And I do, well, it's good. I just think we could break it up a little bit and put it into those sections. I think we could include a purpose paragraph for the enactment of the ordinance, which could include some of the language as far as maintaining the balanced approach to the commercial business activities, as well as ensuring the scenic beauty, wildlife habitat, etc. So we could put that sort of towards the beginning, have that be the purpose, and then we could even put in some background information if we wanted to talk about the size of the county or anything like that. So those are fairly easy things for us to do. I just want to make sure that I get everything in here that you guys want on this. Do you happen to know how many acres are already occupied?
Too many.
Well, that was just, I wanted to make sure in enacting the cap that we're not, to Commissioner Chandler's concern, I want to make sure in enacting the cap that we're not being overly restrictive. If, say, 3,000 acres was already consumed by existing solar farms.
Well, I think we need to definitely include the solar farms that are already there in this. And, it seems to me like the one in Walnut Cove was around 800, and I think the next one was it 500 or something?
Sounds right.
Actually, have that on file, Jennifer. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so.
And then you have one that's been here a while on Tuttle. Where's the dead down?
Tuttle's where they're going to build a new one at. There's one in Walnut. You're talking about the little one in Walnut Cove?
Yes.
It's somewhere other side of town there. It's 50. How many acres is it? 50? No, it ain't 50.
That's the bigger one. Is that what you're thinking? There's one near like Hillbilly.
It's been there a while.
When I heard that one. I don't know that one.
How many do we have right now? Do anybody know?
We got 4.
Wasn't there a little one in Walnut Cove, like in town almost at one time?
I'd have to look at that.
Small one.
I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that, but I could check that out. I don't know.
It's real small.
It's got one of these really big ones that's already in place, and then the other one they hadn't started working on it, but it's been approved.
I don't know a lot about it, but are they that beneficial? I mean,
No, they're not efficient.
They're not efficient at all. The politics trumps all that.
Yeah,
there was
For the
supposed to be
12
one
months
on Medford
expansion,
Drive in
was it
King,
yours?
but I don't know if
Went away.
it ever got started.
Yeah, I think that's up by the wayside.
6.01 abandonment, or I put paragraph A definition.
Gotcha.
Solar collector facility ceases to produce energy on a continuous basis for 12 months. Or, there's I think you had this in there as well, if they don't complete construction, then it's 90 days. So if they never start producing energy, then you don't have to wait a full 12 months for the
You have 90
demolition
days.
to take place. So.
I really think we need to get something in writing and, not drag our feet on it. Just go ahead and get something, get it in place. Cause we know this is gonna come back around, so now we got some kind of guidelines to go by.
So you'll give me the total acreage on those.
Absolutely, I will.
And then we'll work on that.
Got comments, Sonia?
Yeah, I think we're on the right track.
One other comment.
Can I get mine in?
Yeah,
Or you want-
It's one of the detractors of being the chair.
You said I could interrupt you.
Just run the meeting, Keith.
Tommy gets to you, everything's done been said.
They've been laughing at me because I recommended this. I want you to find out if we can put in USA made panels. They're more efficient. There are companies. We don't have to use the C word.
So you want me to research whether we could restrict?
I know in construction business that you can specify US made materials.
Yeah. I think, I don't want to say yes, but it doesn't sound horrible to me.
No, it don't sound horrible. Also, on decommission, I don't want any panels stored in Stokes County until they find. Nobody can tell me there's a solar panel heaven. Nobody can tell me there's a recycler.
Do you remember, Eric, in looking over this, because there was so much we were looking at, and I'm by no means an expert in solar collection facilities, but do you remember what they're talking about as far as disposal and where those would be? Because I want to say that it basically, there's somewhere in here, I'll have to look out.
I have seen it. Trying to pull it out and tell you right this second
Yeah.
might be an issue. But I'm pretty sure that I have seen somewhere.
Here it was. I'm sorry. It's in the, if you look at section 6.02 decommissioning plan, under B requirements, and then paragraph 5, which is removal of all non-utility owned equipment, conduit structures, fencing, foundations. This includes removal of solar panels to raise buildings, cabling, electrical components. So the planning board, when they're reviewing these applications, would have the information on how they would plan to dispose of those panels, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, does that help a little bit?
No.
So you still wanna know where
I
they
have
go?
asked the experts and nobody can tell, they can't name a recycler for panels. And they said, I'll check into that and get back. Well, guess what? They haven't got back.
So we need to know.
Another thing that bothers me, I want to be specific how close they do these things to a river.
Okay, I think,
Is that addressed, Eric?
Well, one of the things that would address that would be flood zone. So, to the best of my knowledge, they wouldn't be able to construct those in a flood zone without an elevation certificate type situation going on. And I will have to go back and dig a little deeper, but obviously we can't have flood panels in the flood zone. So, and that would be most of where the river would be, any of our streams, those kinds of areas.
Well, I'm concerned about runoff also.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think,
Impervious surface.
so under section 5.01, paragraph B, we talked about managing stormwater. I think that would include some of the runoff. And then if there is an erosion and sedimentation control plan that's required by the state of North Carolina, they would also have to have an approval letter from them. So
This is correct.
Rick, you're up.
Last question I had, if you guys would test this as we read the final product here. The other concern I have is the idea that we've got teeth in our policy enough that somebody can't abandon this thing at the end and us end up with the bill for decommissioning it, taxpayers. I know there's things in there about the bonds and the this and the that and the other, but if you guys would just kind of review it with that through those lenses of, is there any possible way we could get stuck paying the bill to decommission this as a county government?
I don't think so if they follow the bond requirements of the decommissioning plan, because they're required to have a bond in the amount of 1.5 times the estimated decommissioning cost. So if they abandoned the project and didn't clean it up, then we would be able to have that claim be payable to us. Is that correct?
It is correct.
What if they're not there?
Well, it's the bond company
Okay.
that holds the funds.
correct.
So, the full amount of the bond is supposed to remain in full force and effect until it's decommissioned. So if they're operating, they're supposed to have this in effect. Now, the issue that I could see happening is they don't pay their bond premium. So I'm wondering if there's a creative way that you and I can require them to provide documentation that their bond premiums have been paid on an annual basis. So I want to say normally bonds are paid annually or semi-annually. Is that
Well,
6 months? I cannot.
And that's my
In order
exact
for them
concern.
to automatically renew,
Yeah.
which is what we had in our plan, they would have to pay those fees.
So they're going to have to renew every year.
They're going to have to renew. It'll automatically renew every year, so they're going to have to do it.
So
Yeah, who's gonna check on that?
So
The
you
county
want-
government.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just go, we just can't put something and magically,
Right.
so we would have to know in writing. I think the board would for sure. I wanna know who's gonna check every year to make sure that's done.
Yeah, it's
Not-
actually written for, they have to send me documentation showing that these things are taken care of.
Who from county government is gonna check to make sure the premium is paid, Eric?
Okay,
Oh,
Good
so
point,
it says
good point.
here, I'm sorry, I answered my own question. A new estimate and new bond certificate must be submitted to Stokes County Planning and Inspections each year, verifying the bond is still adequate. So every year, in order to qualify to continue to run these farms, they would have to provide that information to Eric. They would have to provide the bond certificate
To Eric.
in place, yes.
I think the nature of the question is, how do we stay on top of it, right? I mean, how do we make sure and not lose track of it? I think, is that kind of the gist of your
That's it.
question? Yeah.
That's it.
On the nail, on the head.
Y'all are gonna have to do departmental
That's gonna be me.
Is there any way you could have
be
them immediately notify us if they don't pay the bond, or either have the bond company required to notify us instead of us having to go ask?
I don't know that the bond company can notify us. I know that we deal a lot with bonds in the state administration process, and so generally those are gonna go to the person who's paying the premium, which is gonna be the business. However, I think that we just need to make sure that this performance guarantee requirement has some sort of, I don't want to say clawback, because that's a bad word today, but some sort of provision for what happens if they don't renew their bond. How do we treat that? Do we then treat that as the start of their decommissioning? Do we treat that as some of their triggering events?
I think we
can
could
work
put
on
it in
that.
words.
Is that considered
Yeah.
a construction bond?
It's really,
Construction bond's a public knowledge.
I don't think it's a construction bond. I think but it may still be public knowledge. I don't know the answer to that, but we can try to find out.
Does the state itself have requirements and regulations for solar farms like that? I mean, I know this is going above and beyond because we got to protect our natural resource, our county, but do they have like a bare minimum or something?
They do. So the decommissioning part of this came from legislation enacted here to provide those financial assurances in the event that they stop operating. But with that, there were certain requirements. I believe that the commercial solar farms would have to meet with the state. Now the counties are allowed to be more restrictive, which is what we're looking at doing, making sure it suits what we're going to do. But there are some base guidelines
state had a board, but during COVID, there's some members that, there was a lot of holes in it.
Yeah.
And I don't recall if that's ever been cranked back up and filled.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't
But,
either.
I do know that the Division of Environmental Quality is really heavily involved in this as well. So I know they've got a utility scale solar management program that they're dealing with. So there's going to be, at least for me, like if you think about like environmental health, for instance, there are local rules. There's local people dealing with it, but it's a state rule. And then there aren't really additional rules in environmental health that the health inspectors are making up, but we're sort of able to do that. So there is going to be some state oversight. I think they have to do certain things to be able to continue to be qualified with the state as well. So it's going to be multiple departments dealing with each other. So it's going to be really fun for Eric. But with the cap on, if that ends up being the way that the board goes, I think it's going to limit the number that he's going to be having to deal with and check on.
Yeah, I think that would limit it considerably.
Can we get sued up for the cap?
I don't think so, as long as it's a reasonable cap. So that's what I'm going to be looking at is whether other counties have done similar percentage. And I may reach out to Adam Lovelady, who's sort of the land use expert at the School of Government, and just run that by him as well.
I know the eastern part of North Carolina are saying enough is enough, so they're being challenged and saying no too.
Yeah.
We don't have a cap on any other businesses, do we?
I don't think so. So that
This is a unique business, so it deserves a
There's
cap.
not a lot of other businesses that require the land size that I'm aware of. So I think you may be able to have a little bit of leeway with things like that because of the size that you're talking about. There's a minimum size requirement. We can do a minimum and a maximum, I feel like. So
1% is a pretty good sized piece of the county.
yeah.
One other question, does Stokes County, or are there any special provisions that should be in there related to the Hanging Rock State Park and locating solar farms near it or by it, or are there any rules already about
We
that?
could certainly do. I don't know if there are any existing rules about that, but we could certainly include some sort of setback provision that it couldn't be located within a certain area
Yeah.
of the park.
Speaking of that, I think we need to go with what's in place for our Hanging Rock Advisory Committee, because there are rules already in place for that. And of course, I think it's like looking, as far as cell towers are concerned as well, same deal.
Yeah, my
There's no
concern
difference.
though is you're standing on Moore's Knob and you're looking down at
Yeah, it's a lot
thousands
bigger.
of solar panels reflecting up at you, and that is unacceptable. That must not happen. So whatever we need to do to keep that
So we
from
can look at
happening.
that as well.
So we look at even moving them out further under the visual paragraph.
Yeah, what I don't want to do is obviously limit businesses and those kinds of things that would fall under that category. It'd have to be specific, but it would be specific towards solar farms. So I guess we need to look and see if that's.
You can't see cell towers too easy, but you can see these things.
Oh yeah.
I want to have.
Are we done with this?
I think,
We're not done with this.
well, no, I was gonna say, I think if you're agreeable, Eric, if we can leave it on discussion for the next meeting, because I don't think we're ready to go to action.
Okay.
See, you didn't know what I was doing.
I was right there.
We're not done with it.
I'm just trying to get what you said too.
He's never gonna let me get interrupted.
Yeah, we're definitely not ready
Okay.
to wheel it out. Unfortunately, though, we do have some things coming forward, and that I'm thinking we're obviously not going to have this in place in time for that. We have an application already, so we'll be seeing that soon.
Before you sit down,
Okay.
when we approve their kennel, I can't ask for a motion to approve. We got to put in exactly like we did in a planning meeting
right?
Yes, on page 3, you're talking
Okay.
about the sample motions.
Yes.
Yeah, there are 2 sample
You
motions.
got it? Okay, we're good.
On page
I
3.
just wanted to be
So,
sure. Thanks.
Absolutely. All right, and so if there's no further questions,
Run while you can.
I will run.
We'll have them, but we got your email. All right, next is Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees appointment. Turn that over to Ms. Brown.
Thank you. So at the last commissioners meeting, as y'all know, Commissioner Mendenhall resigned from the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees because he's going off the Board of Commissioners. So Stokes County has 2 appointment slots on that board. One was obviously previously filled by Commissioner Mendenhall, and the other one was filled by Town Manager of Walnut Cove, Kim Greenwood. So Kim Greenwood's still serving in one of the roles, but one is currently vacant since Mendenhall resigned. And we did confirm that the appointment can be a commissioner, but it doesn't have to be. So I guess that's kind of why we needed to bring it to the board to see if one of the commissioners wanted to serve in that role, like Commissioner Mendenhall did, or did we want to open it up to the public and advertise on the website for somebody to fill that appointment instead. So it's kind of up to the board.
Before I raise my hand, what does this involve?
I do not know the ins and outs of it, but I do know that that was the only board that Commissioner Mendenhall served on, because I know he resigned from the Partnership for Children at one point, so that was the only one, and it took up a lot of his time. So I do know it's very involved.
You have to go to graduation and hand out diplomas. That's one thing that it involves.
I could get you a better description.
I don't know how often they meet though. I think they do have subcommittees.
Yeah, there's subcommittees too, because I know he would always talk about him being on subcommittees and going to events and meetings, and I know it's very involved.
Y'all have any ideas? I'm filling it. And don't look at me.
I'll vote you in if you want to do it, but
How about we advertise just to see who may be interested in
That's a good idea.
the community, just to see. I mean, if not, obviously one of us will have to do it if we can't, because it's too important of a thing just to go vacant. But at the same time, I think that, if we could attract somebody that's got a strong desire for higher education here in Stokes County, we need somebody that's motivated, not just somebody, that's showing up and going to meetings and handing out diplomas. I think, in my opinion, that, I've only been on the board 2 years, but I don't get a lot of information back on what they've decided to do at Forsyth Tech. We've got 2 people that sit on the board. So, I'm just somebody that, if we're going to do something, let's do it with somebody with a purpose. Not just saying that we got 2 people that sit on a board and we're still just as much in the dark as I was 2 years ago when I come on the board. So with that, I'll be quiet.
I agree with advertising it.
If you find out the details when they meet and that kind of stuff.
I'll talk to Greenwood too.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned that before. The only reason I'm interested in it is because I'm a graduate, and I don't know if I know the campus in Meadows, in my opinion, is not being used to its fullest.
Yeah.
Of course, that could be the number of students and everything else, but
It looks like they meet on the 3rd Tuesday of every other month, but I know that they're, like Sonny said, there's subcommittees too, so I'm sure it would be more meetings than that.
they might send me back to school if I sit on that board.
Pull your diploma back.
Right. Okay.
Advertise it.
That brings up our action of agenda.
Do I hear a motion to approve the pay and benefits policy?
Make a motion to approve the pay and benefits policy that was recently, we discussed in our last Board of Commissioner meeting.
Here a second.
Second. Second.
All in favor?
I have a question.
Oh, hang on.
Do y'all have anything to add about the changes you made to it? Jeff, you want to speak on that since last meeting?
Sure.
The percentages of-
There was one relatively minor addition to the draft that you saw at the last meeting, and it's really just codifying things that we've always done here in Stokes County, where we provide a pay increase not to exceed 3% for professional certifications and things like that that are job specific.
That was the only change, right?
That's right.
That's all I have.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Next is the fund balance policy.
Make a motion to approve the fund balance policy.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And next is the proposed incentive agreement with Steel Copper Products. Do we have the final, your stamp of approval?
You have about the fifth final, yeah.
We have two finals.
We do. So the one that Jeff and Amber have circulated is the final, I think is how I put it in the text. The final
And everybody, both parties are happy?
Yes, and actually, we got an email from their attorney. Did you see that?
Yeah, this afternoon, yeah.
So, they're all good. We're good legally speaking. I think everybody's happy.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Can we just distinguish which one we're voting on? We need, two motions. One to approve the resolution and then one to approve the incentive agreement, if we can.
Maybe it might be helpful to clarify what's going on with that. We recognized late last week that we had a requirement yet to do a resolution and support that supports the request that we made to the state for the 1NC grant and the building reuse grants. And then so that's the one resolution. And then the second document is this contractual arrangement that also requires a vote of approval.
That was in the agenda packet.
They're both there, yeah.
Yeah, I've read both of them, yeah.
Okay, so
We
let's,
need two separate motions. Is all
Oh,
it is.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
how about a motion to approve the resolution?
A motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now a motion to approve the incentive agreement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we added, item D, commercial dog kennel, the rezoning request.
Motion to approve.
Second.
No, wait, he's got to read.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning request, number 24-1022 submitted by Gregory Sutherland to rezone 1.5 plus or minus acres from residential agriculture zoning district to RAZC, which is residential agricultural conditional zoning district for a commercial dog kennel. This request is consistent with the Stokes County 2035 plan and is a reasonable request.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are we done?
Just waiting on you, brother.
All right, motion to dismiss.
Motion.
Second.